We're going to take a look at one, maybe two more for the night. Our next one is going to be the lovely Faceless Duck, whom I love. This is going to be a scrimmage, 3,900. She'll be playing Mercy on Gibraltar. And her comments are, was there something different I could have done position-wise? There were times I was on my Widowmaker with my backline that our Winston would dive in and die. I'm assuming being more vocal about what I'm doing. Also, no longer on this team, so trying to learn more primary shot calls for my new team. Awesome, Duck. Thank you for the information there. Also, good luck on your new team. I'm happy for you. I'm sure you're going to pop off. So this is Mercy. The Mercy player is 4.3k in Scrim, which is 3.9k. On Gibraltar. Widowmaker, time to pocket, yeah. Everyone knows Cruiser Diva skin is the best. Yeah, it's got gamer girl feet, to be honest. Okay, let's see where we go here. Let's see what goes on here. Really good boost and like GA onto the Winston there. That was really good. Your Widow gets owned. That was a risky GA, but it pays off. That's a good res. Okay, good. Calling that you're with your Zen is really important here. One minor thing I guess I'm gonna nitpick on the calls is I would call where they're diving. So I'd say that they're diving water tower, so that like everybody knows where to peel. And also like say that I'm like, when you say I'm with you, then afterwards everybody knows that our Mercy is on water tower.
What is on blue box?
Good call that she's on blue box. Perfect. Oof, that was a risky GA into the brig. I don't know if she tried to bash you, but I just heard her bash go off, so that could have been really bad. Your Genji feeds.
We need payload.
I would call that you have res soon, because it looks like, I'm guessing you're looking to, oh yeah, you were gonna try and res it, it just didn't come up in time, but I would call to your team that way they know to prepare to try and res you. Like the diva is playing around you, expecting you to res, which is fine, but like this way your Zen doesn't like peek here, not realizing that he's not going to get a beam, and your Widow like will take a save for duel. She ends up winning the duel at last, which is really, really good here. But like the biggest thing is like you need to either call that you're going to res, or like when the Genji res that like doesn't get res here because you can't, because the timer runs out, you need to call that like our team needs to play safe and give him time to come rejoin the fight, because he's going to be like a couple seconds late. Because we can like soft engage here now that we're up one, but our Genji is still coming from point. This is good that you actually did make the call to take payload, and it looks like your monkey went there and is taking the free payload, which is really good.
I'm in server.
Good call on the Doom. I want to see you use your beam a little bit more. There's definitely a couple instances where you're yellow beaming people who are full HP and like aren't dive targets or aren't going to get dived. And yes, I would not be floating. So you know that the Widow died, right? Like you saw her die in the kill feed and she was the pick that we went in off of. So you don't like, essentially as soon as you see her die, you want to start mentally counting in your head how long it's going to take for her to respawn. And as soon as that respawn timer goes off, you immediately want to be playing corners. Like I notice a lot, you'll do these little short GA jumps that'll put you out in the open, or you'll slow descend out in the open. And that's what gets you picked here. It didn't get you picked earlier, but it could. Good call that you're down healers, and also that you called to be taxied. So, like, there it is again, right? Where you do these short little GAs and you peek. And it doesn't get you killed here, right? But you go straight up instead of going just forward, like onto the monkey. right? Because like one thing you can do, right, is I don't know if like some people like to have the beam, like GA prefers beam target and some people don't. I personally prefer that it doesn't prefer, because what I'll do is I'll put my beam on someone, right, and I'll aim where I want to go to avoid doing this where you peek LOS of this Widow, right? What happens here is your diva tries to DM it for you, and the Widow shoots as soon as DM ends and misses. But that could have gotten you killed. But that's an example of why, like, I personally prefer beam does not prefer target, because, like, I'll beam the diva who's up here, but I'll aim my GA down here and fly in a straight line parallel to the ground so I don't peek anybody. Big Valk. Unfortunately, our team kind of gets knocked off of blue box here, which kind of sucks. And they don't call a target on who they want to kill. That's not really on you. Like, this is a good Valk. Like, you're in a good position to Valk there, I think. And you have the potential to swing the fight there off of that because you're safe behind the monkey bubble. Oh, I would LOS this. Nice, you're big. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're gonna die there. I don't think Widow is worth rezzing in this situation. Just because you're down so many people already, even though your Genji is blading, like, there's a couple things going on. First of all, we lose a ton of people in the kill feed, and then also your Genji is blading. So I don't think Widow is even relevant to the fight anymore. Because even if you res here, like, she just has to re-engage in this 1v1 duel, and so far, unfortunately, this Widow has been losing the duels, so, like, counting on her to sway the fight, I think, is unreliable here. I think you get more value if we're like desperately trying to swing this fight, is if we damage boost the Genji and then just die with him if he fails. Otherwise, like, I would not have even used blade at all. I would have just reset. Melody's in chat. Thank you, Full Metal F4I, for the follow. Welcome. Ah! Melody, you're the best. So now we have to reset here again. Feels bad. Oh, they're staggering our diva. Feels bad. Hey, the free ult charge, big. And you're gonna get the res off of her because of where she died. Nice. So we actually get another really fast fight off of that. That's good. That's big. Tried to say good and big at the same time. Good call on the Doom here. Interesting that we're running a McCree now. So now you're kind of like in a funky place where you have two people to sort of damage boost. I primarily want to see you damage boosting the DPS here wherever possible. Good peel on your Zen. That's so unlucky. I think your diva needed to be in position of that as well. You're gonna get the res off though. Good bubble by your monkey. So the way you're playing walls here is how I want to see you play walls play around cover all the time. And I think it might help maybe your Widowmaker if you communicate when you can be with her versus when you can't, because it seems like she's taking really bad duels and kind of getting owned as a result. But also your tanks like are not diving. Like there's no dive happening. I don't know what your other DPS is doing if he's just like not feeding into the comms. Okay, nice. Big Valk here. Big damage beams. I like this. Big, big, big. Good LOS of the bomb. So that was a really good Valk. And we get the res off too on the Zen, which is huge impact. Good call to play around the trance if we need to. And I would look to be, yeah, damage. This is exactly what I was going to say. You can volley to and from this Widow, but you don't need to stay on her damage boosting her. I think you benefit more from damage boosting people in the blob words who are fighting on cart, because that's where all the damage needs to be. Again, when their Widow is alive, think about her sightlines and where you need to be playing, because you can't freely GA back and forth as long as they have a Widow alive. I don't know that I would go for a GA through the D.Va. It's just gonna be really tough. This is good to go into the bubble, and you can use this to your advantage. Call again that you're gonna if you're looking for that res. I'm glad you didn't go for it though. Desperation Rage, but you're gonna get it off. It was risky, but it was a calculated risk, and you're good at math. And you got scattered, or not scattered, storm arrowed. Yeah, their Widow popped off. So I'm not sure if maybe like your Widow just needed more support from you because like your tanks were not taking engagements at all. Like they waited a long time, but that's also kind of on your second DPS for not feeding dive target information and then swapping to McCree, which like helps a dive even less. There were a lot of things going on there. Some things that were in your control, so LOS things, communication things, but there were things outside of your control as well. Yeah, I agree with Melody in chat. There's like a lack of like target calls a lot of the time, like not even just in that last fight, just like overall. I think the biggest thing actually wasn't Zen in that situation. I think the biggest thing is that your Widow is losing the 1v1 and there's no engagement from your tanks. And maybe that's due to a lack of like information calling coming from your secondary DPS, which would be the Genji, who needs to provide recon for them to know who to jump on, because their Widow had a lot of space and your Widow couldn't win that 1v1 duel. So let's see what we do on defense. We're running Pharah Widow. I think Pharah's a difficult choice to play on this map. It's doable, but it's tough because she really is going to have to play LOS, and as a result you're really going to have to play LOS, and you are going to have to like again play around two pocket targets in the form of the Widow and the Pharah. It can be fine. I think on defense this is a weaker comp. I think this comp would run a lot better on offense, where you can play the space a little bit better. Whereas on defense now, you really have to try and like, you have to play to live. And that's like not what you want to play when you have a very picky style comp. Like you want your Widow to get picks. You want your Pharah to be hitting directs and like either be getting picks or be setting up your Widowmaker for picks. It's going to be tough when your sightlines are going to be... Wow, your Pharah got owned! How did the Rai even get up there? What the actual fuck happened? They have a sim or something? Or did they actually just speed boost all the way around? Yeah, this is on the team, like, there's no, like, recon at all. And now you know there's a Widow, so be careful of sightlines here. Oh, God. Did you really just go for a res in front of someone being res? Wow, you're brave. You could have got punished there real hard, but, I'm glad you didn't. See, these are better GAs, right? Where you're not peeking sightlines while still maintaining high ground here. And you also have sight, so you know where their Widow is. One other thing I would want you to be calling is who you're healing and why, or just like say I'm peeling, like even here just say I'm peeling balcony, so that like people know that you're playing balcony and not playing car. Also, yeah, wait a second, who's NA lobbyist if they didn't reset? Out comes your nano boost. You're on a peak stat and you're gonna be forced to Valk. Again, be careful, really careful of the sightlines here. Don't go for this res. You're too brave. I think you need to concentrate the Valk on point because we need to clear people off point here first. It's gonna work out though, maybe. I don't know. I think that's really risky because you potentially expose yourself there to get headshot by the Widow. Oh wait, was she dead? Wait, hold on. Did I forehead? If she was dead, then never mind. I gotta watch the kill feed more closely.
I'm low.
What is Wolf? Great.
Like, you're on a peak set
Oh, yeah, man.
for no real reason. And you want to be really careful Valking out in the open here. Like, she misses the shot, but I wouldn't, yeah, okay. I would not count on her missing that shot.
Mercy's low. What is on blue box again?
Yeah, other Widow is in crazy, right, Melody? So, like, like, I wouldn't count on people missing shots when you go for reses. Because sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't, but you can't count on it.
Who's Syrentis? He's on me.
Hill, I went to Hill, I went to Hill.
But again, this is like there's a severe lack of communication here, right? Like, who should be on the cart? Who's going on the cart second? You know, where are we taking the fight? What's happening on balcony here? Like, you can see all of this stuff that's going on, but none of your team, like, your team is only focused on their individual 1v1s. Or not even their individual 1v1s, but like there's two fights going on, right? There's the fight up top with the diva that your Ana and your Widowmaker are fighting. Your Pharah is dead and spawning, so they should be calling some stuff. And then your tanks are trying to maintain point control because they have no other choice. So, like, here is Mercy. You really don't have a ton of agency in terms of like what you can do, but besides what you communicate to your team. Melody does make a great point as well in chat. Biggest priority of Mercy should not be to heal people up to full, but to make sure that no one will die. She doesn't have as much healing output as compared to before, so we help to keep people full at all times unless downtime in fights. Yeah, and that's why I still think like Blue Beam on Mercy is a lot of impact. Oh, where's my pen? It's a lot of impact because you know what? You can't keep people at full and you can't guarantee that people can live, but you can guarantee that people will die when they're hit by a damage boosted Widow shot or a damage boosted Winston or a damage boosted like Diva doing her full combo. So things I would think about for your Mercy in terms of mechanics, GA safely and avoid sight lines. This is also going to play into like a comms thing, but like 1.5 is watch respawns, right? Even if you just like say, hey, someone has died like 10 seconds ago, just hit tab and check if they've respawned, because that's going to sway like how the mid fight goes or how you take the next engagement or how you're going to position yourself or how your teammates might be positioning themselves. So it's always like important to think about if there are crucial respawners on the enemy team that you need to be aware of. If you know the Widow is respawning, you can think about like, where is she going to respawn from, especially on first point. Let's open exit, and let's open where are you, Gibraltar, especially on this first point of Gib, right? She's limited to the 4 doors in terms of where she can sort of re-enter from, which means if you can look for dives that isolate multiple versions, like essentially what I'm getting at here, right, is if you take a dive from here and you dive like along balcony somewhere, you can essentially force that Widow where the only way she has sightlines on your team is if she comes out through top window, which really limits her options, because it means then your Widow, who's playing all the way back here, knows I can just pre-fire my crosshair here, right? Because if their Widow is playing in any other spot, she's instantly going to have to reposition somewhere either very aggressively, so over here, or she's going to have to come up top here in order to have any sort of impact on the fight. So stuff like that is really important. I just cleared it all. I just cleared it all. Holy shit, I'm sad. That's something really important that you can think of. Other things for Mercy. So 2, in terms of comms, Communicate peel. And by that I mean locations. Tell your team where you're going and when you're leaving them. Say, I'm going water tower, I'm going balcony, I'm peeling here, I'm peeling there. Like, it gives your teammates context to know who's not in the fight. And it avoids people from taking unnecessary poke. It prevents them from taking engagement that they just need to wait. So that's the same thing with communicating your res, including your intention to res, because that way people know, hey, I'm looking to res here, which means I can't beam you if you want to take a Widow 1v1. I can't heal you if you're gonna try and go for some quick poke. I can't heal you if you're going for a dive. You can also communicate regroups. So at no point were there regroups called at any point in both attack or defense, which means people just kept going in and kept committing ults to fight that were lost. You can also communicate ult economy. Usually supports are relegated to ult tracking and ult economy. I would say work with, like, on whatever team you're on, work with your other support to decide, who is doing the majority of IGLing, right? So, like, who is in charge of this and who is in charge of this. Like, don't do both, because it's going to be very, very, it's a lot on your brain to try and do both at the same time. What else was missing in terms of communication? I had another one. Peel, res, regroups, and economy. I think that was it. Maybe that really was it. And the third thing is damage beam. I am still of the opinion, and I'm even more of the opinion now that Mercy does less heal, that damage beam is significantly more value than yellow beam. So you should primarily be looking for opportunities wherever possible to blue beam people over healing people. Of course, there's going to be situations where everyone is critical. You have no choice but to heal people, in which case you have to prioritize people in the fight. Because your Widow who is not in the fight but is low HP is irrelevant, whether she's 80 HP, 70 HP, 140 HP, it makes no difference. She either has to hit shots and like win her duels, or it doesn't matter whether she's full HP or not. If she still gets headshot by the enemy Widowmaker, there is nothing you could have done unless it's a situation where you can blue beam her and make her shot charge faster. So prioritize people who are in the fight. So if there's a fight happening on cart, and like it's an overtime situation, or it's a situation where like they just need to cap and win, then the fight on cart is more important than the Widowmaker duel on the balcony. But like obviously trying to keep your Ana up, trying to get your Ana up in that situation is important, because you need that healing to sustain those tanks and sustain that fight. There's nothing you can do. The way I think about it is like this. Res is an undo button, but it's not an undo button that is free, at least not anymore. And you always have to decide if the time that it takes for you to res, if the potential risk of, standing still for 1.5 seconds to get the res off, if all of those risks are worth the payoff of having someone be alive again. One time I blue beamed a crit Widow and told her she had to kill something before I'd heal her power move. Damn, Rad, you're big. Yeah, but I am of the opinion that damage beam is more value than heal beam. There are some things that the reality is you just can't heal through. But if someone's putting damage into something, the extra 30% just guarantees that they die that much faster. She died. You got her. You're big. So those are the things that I would think about, Duck, I think. Also, good luck on your new team. I hope it's going super swell. And as always, thank you so much for submitting. I really, really appreciate it. I think people enjoy seeing like high SR VODs and like seeing what that gameplay looks like. So I enjoy reviewing it because it means I can be that much more picky. You're a high enough skilled player that it means stuff to you, and it's not like in one ear out the other where it's like not confusing. Thank you, my daughter.